Welcome to the Experience Strategy Podcast, where we talk to customers and experts about how to create products and services that feel like time well spent. And now, here are your hosts, experienced strategists, Dave Norton and Aranza Savas.
Welcome to the Experience Strategy Podcast. I'm Aranza Savas.
And I'm Dave Norton.
And today, as we continue our exploration of modes, those behaviors and mindsets that people adopt to accomplish a goal, we will reflect on prayer mode, reflection mode, and inspiration mode with Agapi Stassinopoulos, the best-selling author of Wake Up to the Joy of You and Unbinding the Heart, a dose of Greek wisdom, generosity, and unconditional love. And most recently, the author of Speaking with Spirit, 52 Prayers to Guide, Inspire, and Uplift You. Dave and I both read the book and truly found that we were guided, inspired, and uplifted. And so it's a real joy to have Agapi join us today to explore this mode and this style of reflection. So Agapi,
thank
our
you.
pleasure. Thank you. So Agapi, start out by just telling us a little about you, if you will.
First of all, thank you so much for having me in your beautiful podcast, which I love. And I so love exploring different modalities and different strategies that people can more connect with themselves. Because I think ultimately, Dave and Aranzas, all we really want is to connect with each other and to connect with the higher spirit in us. Don't you think?
Human beings are definitely wired for purpose. Yes. And when we feel on purpose and we feel we're having an impact, we feel more alive.
Yes. And I think just to start by the basics, if you asked me what is the one thing that humanity suffers from, that I would say I would love to see to alleviate, to see disappear actually, and I love to ask you both as well. For me, would be the sense of separation, and that creates tremendous loneliness. And I see that with people who are also practicing devoted practices, whether it is the embracing Buddhism or Judaism or yoga or meditation, transcendental meditation versus the other meditation. And I think there is absolutely no wrong way to get to God. It's like whatever makes it for you. And whatever gives you joy. And a friend of mine said to me, what about shopping? And I said, okay, darling, if shopping does it for you and it gets you to connect to your heart, as long as it comes from the higher consciousness, go shop. It's like, do what you do, but do it with your joy and your connection rather than to fulfill something that is lacking, to fulfill the emptiness. That's, I would say, the intention and the way you approach something is what really matters. But you see that, Aranzas and Dave, in practices that are very beautiful, that people tend to create a separation. And it would be like people who say, I practice Buddhism, or I'm a Hindu, or I don't believe in anything, I'm an agnostic. And therefore you who believe this other thing or practice this other thing are separate from me. And my way is better than your way. And that kind of separation and judgment creates isolation and basically, to me, never leads to the fulfillment of the human heart.
I love that. And I think what I'm hearing you say is that labeling and tribalism, while an effort to increase connection for many people, a sense of belonging, actually creates a greater sense of isolation and distance from all.
You can be a vegan and say, I love vegan or I love being a macrobiotic. And the other person can say, well, I love the Mediterranean diet. And can we have a meal together where you eat your vegan food and I eat my moussaka? And it's okay. It's like we don't all have to eat the same food. So, just very briefly about my background, I was raised in Athens, Greece, by an incredible mother, which I write about, as you know, Aransas, in my book, Unbinding the Heart. And what made her so incredible and how she raised me and Ariana, my sister, with this incredible, what I call Greek chutzpah, where, she believed that everything was possible. I think part of her mantra, she had many, many aphorisms that I think I should make mugs and T-shirts about, but one of them was, trust your life. Darling, trust your life. And she would say with this fabulous Greek accent, when people said, I don't know what to do about this, or I don't know what to do about that, or I'm anxious. And she'd say, darling, you're not trusting your life. Your life force, she meant. And she raised us with this belief that inside of us lives this unshakable life force that breathes you and gives you life, and bringing the trust to that and bonding with that and partnering with that is what makes you a creator. So she created miracles for me and Ariana from our little one-bedroom apartment in Athens, Greece, to London, where I studied acting at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and Ariana studied economics at Cambridge. And so we created a life in London, and she opened unimaginable doors for us. There was, to her, it wasn't, well, now we're in England and we are with Lord so-and-so, or these famous actors, or we are with these writers or these journalists. And it wasn't, she didn't feel less than, and she didn't have enough money, but she always managed because she had these incredible brothers. And, my father helped some as well, but she had these brothers that she always asked for money. She sold everything she had to bring us the best education. But she always used to say, your confidence doesn't come from money. Your confidence comes from your sense of value about life and humanity and spirituality. She did yoga and meditation when we were teenagers. And so my life, I must say, I had a foundation that I was able to then build my life. And listen, that does not mean at all that I didn't go through tremendous anxiety and insecurity. And when as an actress, coming to Los Angeles to do my first movie, that didn't work out. And when it didn't work out, I decided to live and stay in Los Angeles. I was 23 years old. And that kind of embarked my journey as a awakening in my spirit, because I was reading every spiritual book you can imagine. I said always, when you yearn for God, but I didn't know it was God I was yearning. I was yearning for connection because I was extremely lonesome being away from my family in London. And that drive, when you want that more than your own breath, it's going to lead you to your solutions, to your answers. And out of that, I had a spiritual experience that I call it grace. My Kundalini opened, my third eye opened. I just my heart opened, and I saw the light. You hear these experiences. I saw the light. So once I saw the light, I prayed for a teacher, and I met, through a series of events and synchronicities, I met my spiritual teacher, John Roger, who passed away 5 years ago. And the teachings are the movement of spiritual inner awareness, msia.org. Anybody can check it out if you're listening to this podcast. And the teachings are about soul transcendence, and it's about love and light, and it's about opening the heart, having a heartfelt experience in your life. And that led me to many seminars and discourses and the path of retreats and all sorts of growth, to come to a place of where I was ready to integrate my spiritual energy and a spiritual sense of life to my work. And that's what led. Yeah, go ahead, sweetheart.
It strikes me that both for you and your mother and your sister, I'm sure everyone is familiar with the name Arianna Huffington and the innovative work that she did to really upend the media industry in a time where innovation was at a critical need. And it all came from being in places of sort of limited resources, limited options, and feeling a bit lost and scared. And each of you in your own way were able to translate that into real awakening.
Yeah, and also finding what I talk to people a lot about, and what this book is a lot about, this new book, Speaking with Spirit, is about when you are at a place in your life where, there are many people, our ancestors and David, who know what their work is going to be. That doesn't mean they know their purpose, but because your purpose is not what you do. You can go do amazing creations of work. You can have a restaurant, you can be a designer, you can be an accountant, you can be a nanny, you can be a coach, you can run your own company, you can do anything you want. But what the purpose behind all that is, what am I here to do? What am I here to become in this world while I'm on this earth? And that is a fundamental question for me, for every human being. And I think that question needs to be asked by our school system. It needs to be asked by our educational system. Needs to be when you interview people for work, and it changes. I have a chapter in the book called Finding Your Calling, for example. And I go, okay, I start by saying, what am I here to learn in this earth? What am I here to teach? What am I here to overcome? A lot of people have to overcome self-doubt. They have to overcome a sense of separateness. They have to overcome a sense of ego-driven. Some people have to overcome a sense of not being good enough, and that other people know better, and they lack confidence. So all of us have to overcome something in our human consciousness to open up to our divinity, to open up to our spirit. And let me define what I call by spirit and God, because God is such a limited little three-letter word to express the miraculous, the transcendent, the one that the unknown, actually. And Rumi says, God is silence, the rest is translation. So, and the other Rumi quote that I love is, I'm not the ocean I'm not the ocean. I am a drop in the ocean. I am the ocean in a drop, not a drop in the ocean. I am the ocean in the drop. So within us is the actual stardust universal energy. So it's worth exploring. It's worth, as you said, reflecting. So to come back to prayer, why I found prayer is the bridge to connect with that is because when we pray, and prayer is whatever defines it for you. For me, it's not necessarily sitting in a church or in a mosque or in a synagogue. It can be in your kitchen table while you are baking bread or you're making scrambled eggs. It can be anywhere while you're showering, or it can be devotion in your meditation chair or in a space that you create at your home that is sacred. It doesn't matter. The attitude and the intention is, how do we open up to something larger than ourselves? So I have a great phrase in the book that says, Mark Nepo, the poet, says to everybody when he starts to speak, do you believe in something larger than yourself? And everybody raises their hand. And he says, in that case, you're all mystics. Because when we pray, we are not praying to someone or something outside of ourselves. We pray to the deeper, wiser, higher, and more intelligent part of ourselves that is connected to the whole. We pray to the awakened part of ourselves that is indeed the God in us. All we are asked to do is gently turn towards it and listen. Prayer, then, is the quiet focus that connects us to the inner knowing that we are not deficient in anything. You'll go about your daily life from a place of fullness, aligned with your higher purpose, your spirit-led energy. Think of prayer as your inner compass, pointing you in the direction you need to travel with a sense of confidence and strength. This deeper connection is available to each and every one of us 24/7, just like our breath. I just read you the preface of my book.
It's really beautiful. And so if we look at this as a mode, this state of reflection, right? And again, we go back to a mode being a mindset and a set of behaviors that people use to get something done. So the mindset I'm hearing is one of curiosity, of connection to universal. What's
Reverence.
that?
Reverence.
Reverence. Ah, okay. So
yes,
a bit of humility.
Yes, it's the bowing down to say, oh my God, I have 36 trillion cells that are making me. I don't even know what a cell looks like. So I think I'm an Agapi here, and I think I'm a David, and I think I'm an Aransas. Well, yes, that's my personality, and that's my history, and I'm Greek, and you are, I don't know what you are, David. What are you, David? Where are you from?
Well, I'm a mutt, like most Americans, but probably mostly from England.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
You know, an English gentleman.
Yes.
And Aransas, I don't know, what are you, my darling?
Same, mostly a man.
Yeah. You know, and so that's who we are.
If you ask my kids, though, because my husband is Greek and I'm originally from Texas, they'll tell you they're Greeksons.
Oh, I love it. Oh, my God, I love it. Well, you know, so
it is a stepping back from identity, though, right?
Stepping out from that you think you are, and stepping into that unknown part of you that is miraculous. So that's what I wanted to bring with this book. I wanted to take everything in our lives, and as you said, the mindset. You shift from this is my agenda and what I want to achieve every day, and every day you open up another petal of your blossoming orchard or your rose, and you open another petal and you say, today I want to see how can I get more of my givingness? How can I see more of the extraordinary in the ordinary? How can I make this day be about timelessness? How can I today think of others who have so much less than me and send a positive energy and way and come into absolute gratitude about my life? How can I do that so that my day today is just not another day? And I have this prayer that I love so much. It's called Rekindle Your Enthusiasm for a Brand New Day. And I say, how can I make my day today be so unique and so not based on yesterday, but based on something that is spontaneous and connected? And so that's why I wrote this book. Does that make sense to you, my dear?
It does. It does. And so that mindset, I definitely hear is one of intention and presence. And there are conditions for for that. And I love what you said, that reflection can happen anytime, anywhere. There are no special tools or furniture needed.
Exactly.
And you speak a lot in your book about the importance of this as a discipline and as a continuous practice. And so that to me is that condition that you outline for building a practice of reflection and intention setting and presence and all of these others that are sort of bundled up together.
Yes, exactly. And why is it, do you think, that we don't use this incredible key of prayer? Because prayer is really the poetry inside of us. People, you know what people say to me? I don't know, I feel self-conscious. I don't know what to say. And I said, well, it's not about the words. And that's why in these prayers here, I gave people the template. I start every prayer, for example. Let me just read you a little bit of chapter 10, Reviving Your Enthusiasm for Each New Day, which is, Dear Beloved, it's page 63. Dear beloved, today is not just another day that piles on from yesterday. You know how we go on automatic, and we go into Groundhog Day. I brush my teeth and take a shower, and then I can't find my keys, and then I'm rushing, and then I check my phone, and then I have to get on the subway or in my car or the bus to go to work, and then I'm out to work, and then I'm rushing to go to lunch, and then I get a call that my children my child had a fight and it's not feeling well, and then the babysitter didn't come, and it's like boom, boom, boom. Everything is like piles up, and by the end of it, the stress has accumulated. And so today is a brand new day because I'm breathing. So I said to people, at that time, life is going to be a tornado. Life is going to be a hurricane. I don't know anybody's life who's like, oh, this is so smooth, everything went perfectly day after day, right? So I said, come to the place of your being the eye in the hurricane. And that to me is the prayer. Today, I am alive and I can tap into endless possibilities. And how grand is that? Just like the weather is never the same, things in nature are always changing and everything is moving in the universe. I welcome this brand new day, and I ask that I may look at this day with brand new eyes, not assuming it will be like yesterday. Not assuming it will be like yesterday. When you look at your loved ones, don't say, well, I just saw my husband yesterday. He's the same man. No, today he's a brand new person. Go hug him and love him and tell him how handsome he is. And tell him that he makes you happy. And how can he make you happier? You can tell him, say, I need X and Z. Can you today do these things for the children? Or can we just go have a fabulous date, you and I, somewhere we've never been before? So revive my enthusiasm and let that spill over into everything I do without taking for granted the little miracles of life or forgetting to be grateful for every little thing, most of all, the gift of my life. Help me make this day a brand new day. No matter the circumstances of my life, let me find the newness in myself. Anyways, it goes on, but it says, help me trust that I am, I am one breath away from breathing, that the conditions of my life can be transformed with the power of the Spirit to experience more grace, more ease, more loving, and yes, more joy. I let my soften and open to love. So write down little phrases at night. Keep a journal by your side.
That's beautiful. And you present us with so many juicy ideas here in terms of how we find that space for ourselves. And I think so much of it really is about allowing ourselves to release expectation about everything being any way. And as your mother said, letting life lead. and really savoring the great flavor of each individual moment. And so much of the work that Dave and I do is about meaningful experience. And meaningful experience is rooted in reflection. And without reflection, there can be no meaning. And we hear that come through so loudly in your work. And so I'm really curious, Dave, for you as an experienced strategist, what are you hearing here?
Well, Agapi, I want to say Aransas introduced me to your book, and I loved every single page. I'm a big believer in prayer. I'm a big believer in reflection. I have always felt like purpose in life comes from some kind of higher order calling that each one of us needs to have. And I love the fact that you say that that's different for different people, and we need to embrace and allow for that type of a thing. And Aransas, as I was thinking about this, how this relates to our audience, to experienced strategists. First, we're talking to people. Each one of you out there that's listening to us, you know for yourself, just like I know, that the work that you do, you want it to be purposeful. You have an intention behind what it is that you're trying to do. You're not interested just in making sure that your company is profitable. That's important, but you want to create that connection. And part of the reason that experienced strategists get into the discipline that they do is because they care about people. And I think back on my own career, way back when, before most of our listeners were even paying attention to experience strategy, I was asking people, consumers, people, what they thought were meaningful experiences. And for the most part, they would say things like, it's about being pampered. It's about being shown things that are priceless. But what's fascinating, and Aransas, you referenced this, is we started doing our own research again about 4 years ago, focused on what do people think are meaningful experiences. And Agapi, to the person, whether they were Christian or atheist or whatever kind of background they had, they talked about reflection, the importance of reflection. They talked about connection. They talked about positivity. I was amazed. And we began to realize that the most meaningful experiences in people's lives cannot happen unless there is some form of reflection that occurs. And in fact, prayer, whatever you're praying for, whatever you're praying about, is such a powerful discipline to help you to get more out of your personal life system. And at the end of the day, that's really what companies need to be helping people to do. They need to be helping people to accomplish their own intent, their own purpose.
Yeah, and we found in our research that prayer and self-reflection of any kind really laddered up to greater levels of happiness. And so the people who were creating disciplines, as you describe Agapi, for reflection, for considering their intention, their purpose, their impact, those are people who are finding life satisfying and rewarding. The same is true with companies. And so what we've really advised the companies that we work with to do is to look for opportunities to create time and space for reflection so that people can appreciate the value in their own lives. And so that as guides, and you are very much a model guide, Agapi.
Yes.
You have opened up space for reflection. You've helped encourage people to remove barriers, right? So when we're working with a company, we're going to say, make it easy on people to do what you want them to do. Well, what you've said here is, don't fuss about this being in your special chair with your special lighting in your special outfit. Do it while you're just living your life, but do it over and over again.
Yes. And why do it? Why have so much passion about this practice? Because unfortunately, prayer has been associated with religion. And a lot of people who are not in religion, they say, "Why would I play? I'm not a Catholic. I'm not a Christian. I'm not this. I don't believe in organized church." And I said, "That's fine. Neither do I. Everybody has their way, and my way was not organized religion. But how about calling it a conversation with your high self, a conversation with your wisdom, a conversation with your soul?" Part of it is that we run on empty because we exile our souls and we live fragmented as a physical being. And we forget that how many times, Arance and David, have you heard that the thing, "Oh, it was such a soulful evening. I went to this wedding and it was so soulful." Or "I saw this play and my soul," or "I heard, Beethoven's Ode to Joy and my soul exploded." Or "I heard, Isaac Stern or Pablo Casals, the great masters of music. And you say, "I felt my soul stir." So we want our souls to stir. And if we are living in the mundane daily practice of our lives as getting things done or moving ahead in my life, how many times I say, "Well, I'm not moving ahead in my career," or, "I haven't gotten the love of my life yet," or "I'm just, making things happen," or "I'm surviving, basically. I'm living in survival." And I go, "What happened? Where is your soul, my darling? Where happened to your soul?" Because whatever you're going through, bring your soul into it and it will transform everything.
Yes. And I think, again, our research has shown that people really value those moments. So yes, as Dave was saying, in the past, people thought about value as being these big moments that were highly produced and felt fancy. But now, for all the reasons that you've said, people crave the little things, the magic and tiny moments that transform from the mundane to something fully present, something of which we are aware of the magic in the present moment. And for companies, when they can bring people's attention through reflection or other means to those moments, they are in service of that purpose that people find in their own lives and that impact people desire.
Yes. I mean, imagine, David, and I love what you said about what is life without a higher calling or a higher meaning. What Socrates, my Greek philosopher, said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." So can you imagine if in your corporations that you work with, or all the people and the business world, that if people started every meeting with an evocation? And so this is what an evocation would look like to me. May I demonstrate?
Sure.
Okay, let's say we have a meeting to decide about a next, agenda, and we have everything in our agenda. Call this client, get the data, show them the data, bring our marketing team in. You do all that, and just before you start, you take 60 seconds and you say, "We ask just now for the light of the Spirit to be present with each person here today. And we ask that we may step out of our own way and let the higher wisdom in each one of us assist to make this meeting as productive, as creative, as compassionate as possible, so that we as a company at this very moment, as we serve this client, we are in service to the Spirit, to the awakening, to the abundance of them and each one of us." And as we ask, we surrender any negativity, any negative thoughts, any fears, any worries. And we ask that the Spirit transcend the lower levels of consciousness, and all together we move into a higher level of service. We are so grateful. Thank you for the presence. Amen.
I hear in that so much gratitude and, again, intention setting. And I think whether it is the beautiful poetry of your words or as simple as, what is our most important focus here? What do we really care about as a team, as a business? What is our intended impact for this conversation? Priya Parker does a great job of talking about this in her book, The Art of Gathering. It's setting that clear intention as a collective and then deciding that will drive us, and then we will tap into our diverse wisdom and insight in order to achieve it. So I know we're...
Yes. I'm so happy to talk to both of you. You are amazing. And I'm so resonant to what you do. And I know we have very little amount of time, but I want to give everybody my email, which is agapi@unbindingtheheart.com. So you can write to me and I'll send you some of my guided meditations. You can actually get a copy of the book. And if there's anything that you want to ask me, write your own prayers. You can send me your comments, your own prayers. Agapi@unbindingtheheart.com. I have about 12 meditations, dash prayers that I give out. And I just want to ask everyone, as you listen to this, to just suspend any preconceived notions of what prayer is for you. If you are a devoted prayer person, like David said he is, and I know Aranza is, just great, and go deeper, and allow the depths of you to come forward and bless us with your prayers. And if you do not believe in prayer and you say, yeah, I don't know, it's just too woo-woo for me, to call on God, and I don't know, I say, just call on your breath, the power of your breath, because all of us are being breathed right now, and your kindness and your soulfulness, and call on that, and take little moments throughout the day to reset from your personality, physical, material self, to the spiritual aspect of you, which is nowhere else to be found but in you, in your breath, in your movement, in your smile, in your eyes.
Thank you, Agapi. And I will pass it to Dave here to help us bring this home. So, key takeaways here for experienced strategists from your perspective, Dave.
I think companies would be surprised how much permission their customers will give them to play a role in encouraging reflection and even, to some degree, in appropriate ways, spirituality. And these modes that people get into are very, very, very powerful. We need to think as experienced strategists much more deeply about what it is that we're actually doing.
Thank you so much, Dave. I think that it's so beautifully said. And what I think to reinforce, it's we don't have to pray to call it God if people have a charge about this word, or beloved, or the I am, or the universe. It's the intention of the spirit that lives in all of us, and evoking that. And what happens when we evoke it, we give it permission, because the spirit would never invade us. It's not invasive. I remember a spiritual teacher once said, you have to ask. You have to ask. And I remember once I had burned my hand. I had thrown, as I was making tea, hot water in my hand, and it was hurting me so much. And I just kept putting ice and everything. And I suddenly said, oh my God, please help me. It hurts so much. And I heard an inner voice say, I thought you'll never ask. And at that moment, I felt this healing energy from an invisible energy that came in and caressed my hand, and my hand got so much better. So we must ask. And the asking surrenders the ego, and surrender the part that says, oh, I know. And the part that does not want to give control. But ultimately, we all surrender control, because just to say, at the point of leaving this earth, and I saw both my parents take their last breath, you have to surrender control. You have to let go. So our life can become a preparation for letting go, and letting the higher energy fill us every moment of our lives. It has been an absolute joy and nurturing of the heart. As you said, I felt pampered talking to you. I hope my words have soothed and brought comfort and trust, and I'm here for you. As I always say, I am not a remote person writing and teaching. I am a very human, flesh and blood, a soul sister to people. And please reach out to me. I respond to all my emails. And I feel one heart at a time will awaken this planet to know heaven on earth.
Thank you, Agapi. And thank you to all of you listening. We hope that you'll tune in and check this out in the podcast as you have. And of course, also on YouTube now. And you can check out Agapi's book here, Speaking with Spirit, 52 Prayers to Guide, Inspire, and Uplift You. And we look forward to
right now on any bookstore or any online. It's right here. Keep it by your bedside. You would love it.
Thank you, Agapi. And thank you to our listeners. We'll be back next week with lots more insightful modes for you to explore.
Thank you for listening to the Experience Strategy Podcast. If you're having fun nerding out with us, please follow and share wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Find more episodes and continue the conversation with us at experiencestrategypodcast.com.